Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure. Well, I don't know if soda counts as hydrating, but bottoms up. Oh no! Wait, say something.
I think okay, there we go. Thank you, Enforcer Hound, for letting us know that I wasn't making sound. I said so much. Okay, well, you know what? Start over. Here, let's go back to the pre-seed. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's okay. It was a technical error on mine. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I really appreciate that. So let's start over again. Okay, welcome back everybody to another great and wonderful Sunday. I hope that you had an amazing last week and that your D&D games are also just as good. My name is Paladin, and this is Dova, and we're going to be doing the third episode of Burger Builders. So to explain what Burger Builders is, Burger Builders is a project and a system that I'm developing in order to help game masters make a really good homebrew setting and shortcutting the amount of time that it takes in order to make it stable and make it overall just really, really, really good to run adventures in. And so it's going to take about the course of a year, making many versions of worlds and perfecting the little niches and the little systems that we have here. And eventually it will turn into an entire database with a bot and a website that'll go with it. So it's going to help a lot of people, and it's also going to be done every single month. Where we're going to stream on Sundays for about three to 4 weeks, making the world and the setting for a game master that also gets to keep it for themselves. And then at the end of the month, we do a mini marathon where we play D&D for about 12 hours. And so it'll be next weekend will be the mini marathon, and everyone is welcome to join as a player. People that are in the West Marches can bring their own characters, and if you're not in the West Marches, then we already have a ton of pre-made characters that you can choose from to play in and be a part of helping us raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which the charity is supporting towards. Now, I'm really excited for making this part of the whole story, because we get to actually make the story, and there's so many options, and we get to focus it on the Make-A-Wish aspect of the charity stream. Now, before I kind of go further, I do want to give some news. So now previously we were making this world for Gavin Gamer, who is a fellow streamer, and we had talked in the last week and realized that our content is very different from what we are focusing in, and so we decided to kind of split ways. And so Gavin gets to keep his world, but he's going to be focusing more on the content that he's making, and then essentially is not going to be a part of us for the rest of this burger building, which is completely okay. I am fully supportive of Gavin going out there and focusing on what's going to make him grow and building the skills that he has to do. And it is hard work. I mean, like, it's hard to split your attention doing all of these extra projects and when you're trying to grow and learn. And so, Gavin, I hope that everything goes well with what you're trying to aim towards, and that you get to where you want to go. And I'm looking forward to see what kind of content you end up making in the next year. I was hoping around to ask lore advice for D&D, though. It's for a character concept for a different game. Sorry, that's off topic. Hey, Enforcer Hound, yeah, like whenever we get to a spot where we can start answering some questions, then most definitely would love to help you out. So now, let's do a recap of what we've done so far. Now, in the last 2 streams for Burger Builders, we made the world. We were talking with Gavin, kind of understanding what it is that he wanted to run for a world and setting. And so we created a world that's based on a high fantasy, like French Revolution sort of setting, that also has a lot of focus on there being 2 factions that are based on a feudalistic kingdom, and also a like an inner circle of higher class nobility that are essentially controlling everything. And so there's a lot of distress and a lot of friction between both sides. And not only that, but time flows differently here as well. And so the closer to the middle that a person lives, the longer their lifespan is as time slows down considerably. And so those that live on the outside, which are laborers and people that work off the land, they have very, very short life expectancy, since they accelerate their aging very, very, very quickly. And so that's the setting that we're working with, and I have to see what we're gonna make. So I guess with that, is there anything that, hey, if you guys have any questions, I mean, go ahead and pop a question out. In fact, like Enforcer, if you want to ask your lore advice, then go ahead. We can answer some questions before we start. By the way, Doba, I got a question for you.
You might have an answer.
So, what do you think will be one of the main conflicts that we'll have for this adventure.
Mm. I think one of the biggest conflicts that we're going to have is going to be not so much biggest in individual scale, but biggest as in always there. And that's going to be over safe houses. So, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, for the rebellion, they got to have safe places where they can be in hiding, rest, recover, store, material and arms. And that's going to be a big focal point of it all. Because if the rebellion has nowhere they can retreat to, they're so exposed that they might as well all be dead at that point.
I'm kind of like thinking like, ooh, like what would be a good place to put a safe house that people would find hard to get to? Like there's so many places like you could put it like in the water, you can make it invisible, you can make it somewhere like in plain sight. Oh,
So
man,
yeah, all of those. Or you can look at more, historical examples nowadays, which is just a house a little out of the way, not in the worst part of town, but definitely not in the highest, the best part of town. And from the outside, looks like nothing special. Why would you look at that house?
that's so true. It kind of reminds me of like in RuneScape, there is this little like this single shack that's out in the middle of the swamp. But whenever you go through it and you wear a certain necklace, you like get transported to like a Fey area of RuneScape, which is really
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, just like that. So, um, a common one would be, something like a secret room under a tavern, and if you want to get in, um, you need to order, say a certain specific drink that's not on the menu.
Ooh, I like that. It's like a secret code.
Yeah. So, kind of like we have one that's very well known in the U.S. I'm not sure about abroad, but asking for an angel shot, saying, "Hey, I need help," and most people typically know what that means, and so it's um, you know, same kind of thing. You go and you ask for a monarch on the rocks.
I like this idea. I'm gonna start adding this in. I really do like this. Okay, let's see. So
Already coming up with ideas.
look, we're gonna be throwing things out. We're gonna be making things really, really fun. Okay, so safe houses. And then like rebellion having a safe or a password, ordering a drink at a tavern. Sounds like a good idea. All right. So
That just little secret, code phrases, um, s- small little signs like a specific kind of earring, maybe. Although that would be a bit risky if someone in the know defects.
oh, that's
And there would
true.
also have to be rotating codes, but might be getting a little too complex for a D&D game.
Yeah, well, I guess it is very smart though. It is very smart to do that. But yeah, I see what you mean. Well, I guess let's start with what it is that we have to essentially try to make. So, let me look at the themes again. So, I believe the themes were, let's see, achievement and growth and hope and redemption. And we are specifically trying to like cater it around the power of choice, like having uh a lot of consequences with having to make really difficult decisions that lead to um, big developments later on. And also having to deal with the theme of people not having a lot of ability to discover like who they are and having identity, which makes sense, especially if you don't have a lot of time to live. And then near the end, having a struggle for survival aspect. And if I remember correctly, we're also kind of like leading up to a point where the players have to essentially choose a side, whether it's the kingdom side or the rebellion, right?
Hmm.
And so those are the major ideas. And I guess in terms of like trying to like focus it down towards a general like topic, trying to make it something that would be kind of thematic for like Make a Wish, right? So like maybe something with wishes or like overcoming some sort of like great obstacle and then getting to what it is you're trying to get. That would go really well with achievement and growth, right? Hope and redemption, like being put into a really dark, bleak situation and then coming out of it with even when things aren't on your side and you have everything going against you. So there is so much we could do with those combinations. And
Yeah.
let's ask chat. Hey chat, do you guys have any ideas of maybe some sort of like main story or conflict or what we can do for a game that lasts 3 sessions where there is a beginning, middle, and an end, and it all will be done this week on Saturday. I have a few in mind, but I want to see what other people think too. Uh, Dova, what about you? Do you have any ideas just kind of like off the bat?
I mean, if we're looking for something that's smaller end, like a single quest, you could do an attempt to grab a resource point of some kind. Say, an arms factory.
Yeah. Okay. Grabbing an arms
So
factory.
then you could have your beginning, which is you know, a bit of planning, everything up to, say your first two encounters in the assault, followed by the next session being, the bulk of the assault, and the final one being the end of the assault and maybe even defending it against a counterattack.
Okay, I see. So it's like trying to take control over a resource for one side versus the other. Okay, I like that idea. Let's see. For me, let's see. I think what I got. If I remember, we have memory fog as a additional issue, right? Where people don't remember things that happened in the past or like recently, um, which kind of shapes people's perception about what's going on. Hmm. What if there is like the party is coming in as a neutral mercenary group, right? Or really just the neutral group in general in order to come to this world? What if there is like a conflict of having to try to make both sides come to an understanding of each other and trying to get a hold of like the memory fog and try to help people remember something in order to lead to like people coming together and working together? Because I think that there's a lot of inattentiveness and also like unknowing on the outer ring in regards to what's going on in the inner kingdom. And then people in the inner kingdom are looking at the outer ring with almost like looking down on them as if like they're like less valued and they're doing all these things to try to keep everyone alive and make really hard decisions, right? So
Obviously, they're of less value. After all, they're in the outer ring.
uh yeah. So I think that the time dilation zones mixed with the factions of there being the noble house and the guild plus the rebellion, like there's something that the rebellion is trying to, well, to rebel against, like the system, right? But the memory fog does complicate it because they would have to remember the things in order to do the rebellion, right? Hmm.
Um, maybe.
Yeah. Hmm.
Memory fog could just be for, from a certain point in the past, and they're rebelling over things that have happened since then.
I remember at one point we said that there was a rebellion that happened like way far in the past, right? Um,
Yeah, that's where the memory fog came in.
what yeah, like I what if it's like a small adventure about trying to discover what the past rebellion was? And in uncovering that, then maybe using that information to kind of like guard against the memory fog and then like freeing people of that burden. Because it could have been something that maybe was placed in order to kind of keep people in line, right? So then we're like freeing ourselves from control in some way.
And you could find that maybe you could then find that there's a certain key phrase that would is long enough and using one or two words that otherwise wouldn't be used outside of high society, where upon saying it, the memory fog is wiped, unlocking those past memories and their perception of things pertaining to that past.
Oh, like basically like a phrase that'll dispel the entire memory fog for
Yeah,
everybody.
like a trigger phrase like you see in secret agent movies.
Mm-hmm.
The agents got their memory wiped, but upon hearing the phrase, they remember all their training.
Like that. So I guess if we were to do that, then it would be like one session going into like a guarded vault or like a place where the rebellion and this key phrase is located or kept safe from being discovered or tampered with. Um,
Hmm.
and then using that key phrase to kind of like dispel it on everyone and like awaken them. And then naturally that would cause people to be more aware of what's going on. And then people would start to rebel because they remember everything. They're kind of aware of like what's really going on.
Hmm.
That could be that. Yeah, that could be a very dynamic way of like really kickstarting the rebellion off.
Hmm.
And
Or,
then
of course, they
yeah,
could always choose to keep it secret. Say,
it's
no, we
true.
basically found nothing there if they wanted to side with the Empire.
Oh yeah, because they might decide, ooh, like maybe having too much wide scale knowledge of this is too dangerous. So they might decide like not to share it with everyone.
Yeah, it could be they learn about it and it's a case of, okay, yeah, they did some shit, but we can see here clearly laid out logical reasons why they would do that. And they could either decide, it still deserves punishment and kick off the rebellion, or, it's a good enough reason. We're going to let this sit.
Hmm.
I can't remember where it was from. I think it was from uh, some other campaign that I read about. But basically, or no, it was a game of some kind where it was the case of you're leading a rebellion against the monarch.
Mm-hmm.
You end up winning, and you become the monarch, and essentially you're briefed on another total existential threat that makes you realize, oh, the monarch was, hiking the tax rates to oblivion for a reason. So you're stuck with either, letting it, you know, steamroll your kingdom or continuing to hike the tax rates and becoming the next evil king.
I really like that. Oh man, they're both such good options. Sorry, I was covering my mouth. I said I really like that. I mean, they're both such good options.
Hmm.
I'm thinking really hard here. Like, I'm trying to think of like some movies or books that I've read that have to do with like bringing people together or hope and redemption in cases of war. I mean, I guess Avatar: The Last Airbender comes to mind, where they have to bring all the nations together
Hmm.
in a period of bleakness with the Fire Nation attacking everyone.
Hmm.
Mm,
In a lull in the Great War.
yeah. What if instead of choosing one side or the other, it's instead helping both sides come to peace with each other?
Ooh. As a small but relatively neutral third party.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because maybe both sides are right and wrong. And if there's
That
instead
is
like a way to kind of like bring people together and kind of get over their differences, then it could avoid even, just the city destroying itself, right? So that might make for a very good story, especially for like for Make a Wish.
Hmm.
Mm,
How would you have to go about that, though?
yeah, well, I think that in kind of, if I'm to follow like Avatar: The Last Airbender, they bring people together by appealing to the things that are good about them, and then like are human, and with the compassion and healing um people through empathy and just, being supportive and being there for them. So what if it's like um that, yes, the outer ring has this problem of like a shortened lifespan, and yes, like they're getting the short end of the stick. um and they are, reasonably very angry about this, especially if the memory fog is taken away. But kind of showing through, there could be like a conflict that is like a third party conflict. Like I think I remember us talking that the world is very dangerous, and so there could be a third factor or a third faction that is coming in to try to uplift everything while they're in the start of getting the rebellion. And so trying to find the good things on both sides, and having a danger that forces people to work together might be enough to make it believable or make it a good outcome at least. But it's also about redemption, right? So like the bleak part here is that there is a decrease in resources, right? That's kind of like bringing the kingdom to its knees essentially. um and the conflict and the rising actions of aggression against the kingdom just make it worse. And so the hope part, I believe, in that case would be having to find or believe that there's going to be a better future where everyone can be happy and live long lives and, suffer less. And it's almost idealistic, but I think that whenever it comes to those kind of like themes, it does need to kind of come from a place of like, yes, there's a strong ideal, um but we can overcome differences in order to work together. Hmm. Here, let's start with maybe, because there's so many aspects to this, and I'm thinking about it on multiple levels.
Really are.
Yeah. So okay, so I know we want to go forward with the whole rebellion versus the kingdom thing, right? Um.
Yeah.
Uh. And trying to find peace between the two would make a really good story. So how would we do that?
Well, there's two ways that are obvious right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the annihilation of the other side,
What if they do uncover the memory fog? And what if like people were under the false belief that the rebellion that happened a long time ago was one where the people were rebelling against the city, but in actuality that's not what happened. What happened was not a rebellion, but a battle that the city and the outer ring had came together to fight off some sort of evil or magic, but as a consequence of it, had caused the memory fog to occur as like some sort of curse from like a circumstance. So then it's like, oh, like people thought that they're like that the secret to like gaining the upper hand against each other was there, but find out that none of that was true.
So I just had an idea. It's not so much that it was just, a battle.
Mm-hmm.
It was a case of the kingdom was being attacked by, like a grand lich, right?
Mm-hmm.
With his undead army. And when the lich was failing, when he was almost beaten, even though he was already at the steps of the castle, um, in his retreat, he cast a massive wide, AoE spell to change people's memories to buy himself time to rebuild an army.
I do like that.
And so then you uncovering that lets you go, oh, it wasn't a rebellion. Oh, some people have figured this out, and those people are the ones who are in the castle because, one of them got lucky and found the passphrase. And they're trying not to cause widespread panic.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously the rebellion doesn't know about it.
I really like that. Well, I also got like it's a lich, right? So liches can cast high level magic. Well, what if this whole issue with the memory fog was caused by a wish that got monkey pod? Like the lich just said the wrong thing, and it caused everyone to lose memory.
Yeah, like it's like he worded it weirdly. Like I want everyone to lose their life, and then everyone lost all memory of their life before that point. And then you know this is more from the next generation who knows of the mass memory wipe, but doesn't really think much of it because it happened 60 years ago. Who cares? It's a bunch of old people. They forget stuff anyways.
Mm-hmm. So let's say that it is a lich, right? And he's trying to buy himself time. Where would he? Where would he? Where would he stay?
Oh, the same place where he came from, his underground castle.
Hmm.
Underground castle in the misty swamp surrounded by undead that no one ever goes to because there's nothing good there anyways.
What if he is the king of the kingdom, but like illusions himself to look like human? Maybe even fakes his own deaths every now and then because he can always like respawn from his phylactery, make it seem genuinely real.
Then he true polymorphs himself into a new form.
Yeah. And then people discover like, wait, there's no bodies in these like crypts if they have to like go looking.
No, 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 even better. You find out later that he then takes his, son, the crown prince,
Yeah.
kills true polymorphs him into what he's supposed to look like, then takes his form. So now there is a body.
Oh my god, that's so evil. He has to kill his son. Oh no.
Has to. He doesn't care. That body is just going to go into his army. He was just a random urchin he picked up off the street years ago.
My goodness. Oh, okay, like not like literally his son, but like his son as the king.
Son, yeah. The crown prince, his adopted son that everyone thinks is actually his.
Yeah, I guess he would have to adopt and then like, oh man, I bet marriage must be really weird. Must be really like, no, I'm sorry. I just want to
No,
adopt.
Alan, we're missing an obvious thing here.
What's that?
There's not just one lich. There's two.
Oh my god, it's a couple of liches.
It's a pair, a married couple, who are both vying to stay in control of the empire, and for obvious reasons, can't just turn it into what they want. So they need time to rebuild their undead army, to raise it, to rebuild their evil kingdom.
I know that liches being evil is something that people expect. What if they had like lawful good intentions in doing what they're doing?
They're trying to raise the undead army to deal with an even bigger, badder army.
So they created the time dilation in order to kill the people on the outer ring to protect the, the land from a threat that they're expecting.
Some sort of extra planar threat.
Hmm,
Demon incursion, maybe?
maybe. Uh, I wonder if the raising the dead is necessary though for this, because it would make it would make them less like, or it will
Well,
definitely make
they're
them
not
evil.
not actively trying to kill the people, but when they have the time dilation, the people in the outer ring will grow and mature faster, and then they can be, taken out of the time dilation later if necessary. And in the meantime, all those bodies go into the cannon fodder reserve. Sorry, undead reserves.
What if it's like they became liches on accident by having to accept the burden and responsibility of like controlling the time dilation, so they can never leave the center ring. um but then it's like, well, why would you, I guess. Hmm, so many things.
We could also be trying to ascribe logic to an illogical species.
Liches,
I was thinking people in general. We can be very illogical.
right?
Ask me how I know. I'm the same way.
Well, I guess the one concept I think that we're kind of like hitting here is that there's something that happened in the past that was lost to memory fog, but it's not what people thought it was. There is liches that are in control of everything that's going on, um, doing it for X amount of reason, and the uncovering of all this is something that can be so detrimental that it could have the city unravel, knowing the truth of what's happening, which is why the memory fog was made, right? To kind of keep people from being fully like realized of the truth and then having everything fall apart. So it's like a way to keep peace by averting people's eyes from what they don't want people to know. So maybe it's like selective memory fog. Maybe it's just for like specific things.
Okay.
Hmm. These are really good ideas. I'm like thinking what we can make. Because there's like there's so many ways we could take this.
Yeah, it's a whole world. We could take this anywhere.
So what if it's something like, um, in like their records that there was a quote unquote rebellion hundreds of years ago that is thought to be a uprising against the tyrannical king of this kingdom, and people are wanting to see what they did as it had some success in bringing peace, and they see the tyranny coming back with having to make shorthanded decisions. um but really what had happened is that the people came together to defeat a lawful good, or sorry, not lawful, but a lich who had risen, um to come here and try to fend off an even greater threat, but was stopped. And so it's a story where they have to discover like what the true history was, and then realize that, oh, like this is not what we thought it would be at all. And then it leads them on to um, a chase of trying to learn more about this lich problem and digging into what really is happening in the kingdom. So, but as they like discover more of what's happening, the players might realize that maybe like the lich was really just a noble hero that willingly transformed themselves to gain immortality to safeguard the kingdom from something, so that way they could be the only one to bear that burden and not put it on someone else.
All right. That would be a good one. Just a proper good king. Well, yeah, as good as kings and politicians usually are. That might be my bias showing, but
Well, having corrupt politicians could definitely be a thing. I would imagine trying
oh,
to
almost
lead like
certainly.
a whole city of people. I mean, it's trying to like direct people in a way that will keep the balance and safety. So maybe he's like purposely causing small problems to keep people distracted with social things, right? Maybe he's the one that burned the crops because he needed to like put attention away from something else. Otherwise, like things might topple over. There's like this whole balance of like, oh man, I gotta keep people from finding out. So let me put the memory fog, and also let me distract with these other issues so people don't find out what is happening. And we can maintain peace for at least a little longer.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. So, king reluctantly accepted lichdom in order to, safeguard the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Safeguard against what?
Hmm. I mean, I do like the idea that you had where like kind of fend
Right.
off against an ancient extra planar entity. And maybe it doesn't even have to be a lich. It could be like a death knight, like a fallen paladin that turned undead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because liches are liches. I mean, it also can be a lich. It depends on which way we want to go with the
Yeah.
king, right? Like, do you want a wizard or like more of a knight? Um, hmm.
Could be a greater demon. Could be, basically the general theme for the enemy is big, long-lived, and evil.
If I remember correctly, the more center we get to the city, the slower time goes, right? What if at the most extreme center, it's just time stop? So the creature is just stuck there. But if the king dies, the time stops. It's gone, and then it would cause the creature to essentially
Yeah.
reign
So
in mayhem, and trying
like
to find a way to stop him by developing the city and hoping to make discoveries that'll stop whatever it is that the entity was going to do next. Maybe.
yeah, no, that's actually a very good way of looking at it. So like in the exact center in like a little hidden courtyard
Mm-hmm.
within the deepest part of the castle, possibly even deep underground, there is a singularity, and inside that singularity, time is stopped, and the closer you get to it, the slower it goes. And inside that singularity is held, some, uber powerful, like you said, fallen paladin, death knight, evil wizard, whatever. And yeah, and the king's just only barely able to keep control of it, and he's just trying to keep time slow on the inside, so he always stays near it. And outside, he's letting time go at a normal pace so that it can, um, progress technology, better weapons, more people, and hopefully be able to build up a big enough potential army so that by the time he's unable to hold on to the spell anymore, um, they'll have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess this would also put a lot of emphasis on why it is that there's an arms race and all of these um basically like artificer discoveries and research that you're doing to try to find alternative ways to deal with the
Mhm.
problem.
And
Um
why magic is somewhat, I know we said before,
mhm.
infinite choice, no limitations, but why mages are somewhat more rare, and that is because the best and the strongest of them are being brought into the inner, into the castle basically to feed him their magic energy to
I
keep that spell going.
I think yeah, I do like that idea. I think what we decided on was that it's that magic is
Just
available to
remade.
everyone. So maybe making magic available to everyone raises the chances that a discovery will be made to
Mhm.
stop this problem. So basically, just like giving everybody the things they need in order to get to this whatever they need to stop
Yeah.
the
So
entity.
I don't know how familiar you are with 40K lore, but we
Mm-hmm.
just remade the Emperor. He sits on the Golden Throne to keep closed some gate to the warp or something, and he requires the sacrifice of thousands of psychers a day to keep that gate closed and humanity alive.
Oh, I like
So it
that.
sounds like it's a great idea.
So if the party does side with the rebellion and then gets to a point where they do topple over the lich, that would definitely bring destruction to like the entire city, right? Um,
Yes, but you could also have it be where at that point, um, the magic and technology has just barely advanced enough so that it's a fight that they could actually win. And so to end up with, oh crap, we shouldn't have done that, but it all turned out okay in the end.
and then it could be that as the players learn more about what happened, they might end up. Well, the lich is going to come back because of phylactery, right? But I guess if we use Death Knight, that would kind of solve that problem where like he's got eternal life but not immortality. Like he can die. Um,
You're talking the in the center of the thing or the king.
the king.
Okay.
It kind of raises the stakes a little bit. So like a Death Knight might make a lot of sense. Or maybe not even that, because if time is going so slow, he could just be a normal human and not undead at all. If time is like at such a
Yeah.
slow pace that he's just like aged maybe like a year in the span of 200 years instead.
Honestly, you could basically pick your time because the time dilation you can have it so he's only been there for subjectively a decade or two. So he's no longer in his prime, but still definitely fighting fit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you could still have it be you could have it be any length of time that he's actually been there from an outside point of view. Because what was it in Interstellar? 2 minutes on the planet was 20 years outside. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm
That's just the power of time dilation.
sorry. I'm like thinking. I'm like, well, guys, I'm like thinking about all this. Like, time dilation definitely is a really good thing to kind of touch on. I guess the choices would be if we would want to have a normal being that's a leader, or someone that's kind of playing playing the society in order to maintain control, because if people found out they were, then things wouldn't be so things wouldn't turn out so well. And I
You
think,
could also have, oh,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah, no, go ahead.
just another thought to add to it so that regardless of which way they choose, they always have a very powerful ally going into it.
Yeah.
Um, the king is just a normal person, yes, longer lived because they're closer to the time dilation center, but totally normal. Just not any special fighter, nothing like that. But the Lich is being held by the champion from the previous rebellion, who was just close enough to his own spell that even though for him it's only been, 10 minutes, say, the length of a good concentration spell. Um, from everyone else, yeah, it's been 300 years.
I,
And so then, regardless of if you side with the Empire or the Rebellion,
yeah.
by the time you get there, realize what's happening, and the spell happens to end as you're watching, um,
Oh,
you have an ally there. You give him some quick healing, a quick rest, and you basically distract him long enough, to start landing the finishing blows. And whether that's with, the kingdom's forces or, captured equipment from the kingdom
mm-hmm.
because you're fully for the rebellion, or whether it's a combination of both because you managed to, sue for peace.
Like that. Can you repeat that idea one more time? So I'm gonna write it down. I really like.
Yeah, so king is perfectly normal, but the time dilation is caused by um, the kingdom's old champion who was caught up in the effects of his own spell, causing the dilation to last for longer than normal, and who will, be able to assist you in the final fight to end that lich, regardless of if you choose um, Empire or Rebels.
I got an idea to add like another layer to this. So
Okay.
I do like having the human king. I also like having the lawful good lich as well. Um, and so what if the thing that happened in the past, like it could be a rebellion, um,
Hmm.
where the humans had, or sorry, the people had rebelled against their old king, who was a lich, but he
Or
was
Death Knight or whatever.
right. And because people found out about it, had sought to throw him over. And what really was happening is that there is this entity, I guess we could say it's a demon, or like an eldritch power that is corrupting people. And even time stop doesn't stop it from corrupting people. It like can talk to them telepathically, and is
Hmm.
trying to do everything to essentially get out of its prison. So which leads to corrupt politicians, and also stuff like the rebellion getting help from the demon itself that's just trying to upturn everything. And the king um, has to basically make a decision of like, okay, like this time stop was made by the Lich, and that the demon was here for like much longer than the Keen was. And there might be like a faction of people that support the old Keen. I want to see him restore to power. And they're seen as like radical extremists. But could be a way of like kind of like righting the wrongs of the past for misunderstanding maybe the Lich. I don't know. I'm just sounds like it would be a good way to go, but this is hard with only two people.
It really is.
I'm not gonna lie. It's like, I wish we had a third person to kind of bounce ideas off that could add in like their spin on this. But it's
Well, normally I am that third person.
um okay. I guess complexity and simplicity, right? And also the themes: achievement and growth, hope and redemption. The hope and redemption part for the Make a Wish Foundation, right?
Mhm.
For the stream, having redemption given to who and hope for what? So like hope for peace, that all of this ends, and the redemption is for maybe like the situations of the past and like clearing people from the mistakes that they've made to try to keep status quo and progression going forward, and trying to clear misunderstandings in order to have things work well. And I think that I think that is a good way to approach this. And for achievement and growth, I guess that would have to do a lot with having to have a goal that either the players or a part of society is trying to get towards. Having obstacles and then achieving that goal. So I'm not sure that the rebellion would be good for that. And I'm not sure how we can establish that with the player base either if they are neutral. The achievement and growth part might not be related to um the party or the rebellion. It could be based on maybe just trying to deal with this long-term problem of like trying to get rid of this entity, and the Keen guiding society to slowly get to that point. But unfortunately has resulted in an uprising that threatens to undo all 200 years of progress. So, I'm gonna go get a drink real quick. I'll be right back.
Hydrate before you dehydrate. Upper.
She knocked over my painting. Hello, guys. That's more doggy. All right. So I just wanted to get myself an energy drink. All right. So now we have to make it something that's gonna last 12 hours, right? Or 3 sessions. So it's got to be short, not too short, and then not too complicated and too long. So if we had to go like a fast track of trying to make that happen, or we can make it a 2-day event, but I think it would be easier to do a 1-day event rather than two.
Yeah, I think the difficult part is going to be keeping it in that middle ground. Because making a one session one shot of this would be easy. Making a long form campaign of this would
Yeah.
also be easy.
I think that this story might actually require us to do it Saturday and Sunday, just to really explore the depth of
The setting.
yeah, because the setting is very complex with all of the like social interactions and the way that it's set up and the history of what happened. So I think it might benefit to do it over the course of 2 days instead of one. So we do it 12 hours on Saturday, you know, don't stream overnight, and then the next day we start the same time and go 12 hours. Um, it will give us more room and it will give us 6 sessions to work with rather than three. It just feels like 3 sessions is not enough time to like really explore those themes, you know?
Yeah, three sessions sounds like, you know, leading up to, during, and then just after the final battle.
So I guess then if we're going with the hope and redemption, we're going to want to show the bleakness of the world from the beginning, right? And also the exposure to like this whole rebellion.
Yeah,
Before we had the idea of making it a mercenary group, right?
yeah.
What if instead of a mercenary group, it was they're here because there was a wish made by someone to bring people that would help solve this problem or something. I'm just kind of going with the whole wish idea of like
Oh,
how people
summon
got here.
hero.
Yeah, the summoned heroes. Why are we here? You know, how did we get here? Oh yeah, I wish for people to come and help us with our problems. uh, uh,
Classic summoned hero trope.
what if? Oh, I got. What if it was a wish to make certain people in the society immune to the memory fog? And so they all are from here, but they don't remember who like they were, or maybe they do remember like who they were, but they are now like set apart from everybody else and have a lot of control to change things with them having a clear way to get rid of the fog. So maybe like the first part is like, man, you're in the society and you're seeing how people are so blind to what is happening around them. And the party then goes on a adventure to get rid of this memory fog. And then whenever everybody gets their clarity again, that's when the rebellion starts because that's the thing that changes. Um, and that's what leads to discovering all of these inner machinations of like why the memory fog was there to begin with, and also like what's really happening at the center. That sounds like a good way to show like the despair and like the events that are happening, keeping everyone essentially like in a bad situation. Do you have any thoughts on like how to establish or show the setting to be like bleak and lacking in future?
I mean, you could do that just based on small little background details. Um, you're in a better part of the outer ring,
Hmm?
and still, people with too thin faces, clothing that's been repaired more often than replaced. Um, just describing people as, generally more unclean, not due to lack of desire, but due to lack of ability.
I think it might
Um,
also be important that not only just showing it but also experiencing it as well, like having trouble trying to progress forward because of these obstacles that are affecting everyone. Like they are having difficulty trying to learn things or trying to get people together because people can't retain things for very long.
mhm.
So it almost becomes necessary to try to help them. or having the party start out with having to make a decision on, okay, well, like, yeah, do you want to have armor, weapons, or food? You can only choose one, right? And like maybe starting off with like less gear.
Yeah, or you could do the classic option of here's three things, pick two.
Oh yeah.
You want armor, food, or weapons? Or you can have armor, food, and weapons. Pick two.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. I really like that. Yeah, giving them less resources in order to kind of like kick in that feeling of like, yeah, like, we're not in a very profitable or growing society. So, okay, let's okay, so I guess the one of the obstacles is going to be party starts out with less gear. And this is for establishing league setting.
Yeah, it's like, yes, you're all mercenaries, but these are very trying times for everyone. So you can either have food, or you can have food, armor, and weapons, but you can only pick two each.
Does the mercenary idea still make sense, I guess, with everything
I mean,
we're adding?
yeah. So with the poorly worded wish spell, um, it just chose a random group of people who would be capable of helping.
Oh yeah, mercenaries. Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah. So
yeah,
a
that
group
makes
of
sense.
people with combat abilities. It chose them and went, cool. You all can now see through the memory fog.
It just shows like a random group of mercenaries from the world.
They happen to be near the city,
Right, right.
or even in the city, part of the outer ring. And then you can just straight up narrate it as well. Like, you realize this is what's happening, this is why, and you know from your experience that these are the living conditions that the average person goes through.
So the wishes. So where the wishes are coming from and how frequently they occur could also kind of be a good story element. What if it's like this, the lawful good lich has been giving the keen wishes. You can make one wish a day in order to kind of get things going. Um, and the wish typically leads to maybe the lich has to like go out personally to go and follow these things through because maybe he ran out of ninth level spell slots with having to continuously focus on time stop. So they're not real wishes, they're just framed as wishes so that way maybe the king doesn't discard the lich. So the lich has been like on the backside been manipulating society to try to have these wishes follow through. So whenever the king wishes for, hey, I need help, it's like, all right, has to find a way to either go himself to find this mercenary group or sends a particular person or have a series of events occur to kind of lead people to the city.
Yeah, like he engineered a quest to find an artifact he knew of that contained a wish spell, or just a mind alteration spell, and gave someone the what basically gave him a note saying, "Here's what you need to say when you activate it."
Oh, like an item that gives a wish every day.
Or even just it had a set number of charges, and he knew there happened to be one more left before it was lost to time, and then he discovered it in some he found its location in some ancient scroll in the library or something.
Yeah.
or even he made it, you know, centuries ago.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about it because it didn't really matter because he could already use Wish. And then went, oh yeah, that thing. Where was that? We could use that.
The keen use that or the lich?
The Lich made it, and he wanted it um, recovered, and the king was like, no, we need a group of people who are capable of dealing with this. And through his poorly worded wish, that's what happened.
Yeah. It also could be that maybe it's a ring of three wishes, and there's only like one. Like he used one wish in order to establish the memory fog and have this entire sequence of events to maintain control. The second wish is the poorly worded, mercenaries come here, and there's one wish that maybe could be left for the end of the adventure for the players to set.
Have as their own or to use in the final battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine that could be very good. Like they could undo what happened in the past or try to help in establishing an outcome that they want to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that could be very good. And then there's so many that would go hand in hand with amplifying the power of choice by giving them a wish that changes the entire course of what could happen at the end. Be
Mm-hmm.
cool like that. I also like what you thought as well. So like having it be in a scroll. So like there's scrolls that were lost somewhere throughout this whole city, and he happened to
Yeah.
find one. He's like, oh, finally found the scroll. And there's another scroll hidden somewhere that's to be found.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of creates a potential problem of it not being found.
You could always just, kind of like railroad that slightly, though.
Yeah, the ring of
Like, oh,
the ring of
you
wishes
know,
might be simpler and easier.
if you just don't want to, and if they just don't want to go to that location coincidentally, then you can just have it show up in a random stack of papers that they were searching through.
So true. Okay, so I guess then straight from the beginning, the party is wished upon to assist the city with helping the king with what, I guess whatever the problems are, which I guess would be
I mean, you could just make it really vague to go with the poorly worded wish. He wished for a group of people who would help him fix the city. What do
yeah,
you mean by fix a city? Are we talking literally brick by brick, make it look better? Are you talking, you know, fix the socioeconomic issues? Are we talking about fixing the massive time stop caused by singularity holding back, you know, the Eldritch Dark Knight that's trying to kill everyone? A poorly worded wish like that is open to interpretation, and that would lead to just removing the memory fog.
right. I guess what I mean is like, what was the king's intention with making the wish? Like, what was he wanting to do?
Well, assuming he's read in on it, he might want someone who can actually take care of the Lich. Or not Lich, Eldritch Knight.
Oh, like maybe he's tired of being a king. I wish to
Not,
have
not,
someone that could
not
fix
necessarily
all
he's
these
tired of being
problems.
king, but, he wants that threat to the kingdom ended once and for all. He's finally gotten sick of it.
What if the time stop has a time limit of how long it can actually occur, and so it's getting closer and closer for it to start wearing
Yeah.
off?
And again, 10 minutes for those in the time stop versus, outside.
Mm-hmm. So maybe he like wished for someone to help. Yeah, like to help solve this problem. Um,
Oh, he wished for it years ago, and now you're finally showing up, and he felt that, and now he really knows the time has come.
how would he know it's them though?
He felt the magic surge through the ring, you know, informing him that his wish has finally been completed.
Oh, like there's a delay. Like there's a signal that's just going really slow to the outside world because of the slowing of time.
There we go. I
It's like not only is it's time slowed, but wishes also are slowed as well. Oh my god.
mean, you have to assume magic adheres to the speed of light, and if
what if it
if
wasn't the king that
his
made
time
that
was
wish, but it was the lich that did it? Like like a
the
long time
lich who's
ago.
keeping up the spell,
Was that?
the lich who's keeping up the spell.
Well, I mean like with the object, like the ring wishes, for example. Like he might have wished for some like for people to come and help, but it was during the time of the rebellion, and then the king made his wish as well. Mm, like it's kind of messy, maybe.
Or the king wished for when the time is right,
Hmm.
a group of people will show up who will be able to help and finally end the threat. And the ring just finally pulsed magic at him, going, "Hey, your wish has finally been completed."
I guess the choice here is having to decide if the king knowing that the wish was granted is like what that will affect in the game. Like, should he know versus not know? Because if he knows that they're there, then they become targets of the king. But if they're more anonymous, then it could lead to entirely missing. I don't know. Hmm. uh, Dova, I really appreciate you. We're getting so much. We're getting so many ideas thrown out. These are all really great ideas.
They
Um,
really are.
they
Each of
they
them on
are.
their own would work exceptionally as a center point or a plot twist.
I guess let's establish some key things. If we want to surprise the players so that way they don't know things ahead of time, we might have to resort to painting these characters different than what people would expect. So, like the lich being lawful good is like a good uh thing that we probably could keep. Um, the keen might also be a good plot twist. What if the lich never what if the lich wasn't usurped, but instead faked his death and then put the keen as a face, and the true person leading the kingdom has been the lich this entire time? But it needs to be kept secret, and that's why it's so guarded in the middle.
The king is secretly a puppet.
Yeah, this whole time.
He's a public face. He writes down his signature on what the Lich tells him to, but the Lich is running the show.
I'm like, can you imagine if the party kills the king and they're like, okay, he's gonna come back to his phylactery anytime now? No, I think he's dead. Wait, but he's supposed to be a lich. No, he's definitely not a lich.
You fools, you thought that idiot could actually run this kingdom?
I could see that being a very compelling reason why to memory fog everyone, so that people don't remember what happened, making people believe that the lich was a tyrannical ruler that was overthrown, but really it was just a a way to hide the lich and protect him while he focuses on time stop.
Ooh, and then yeah, the wait, Lich is still good.
Yeah.
I'm Lich is still good. He just happens to be hiding in the shadows for some reason.
Well, I imagine that maybe the demon is, if he's like affecting people with corruption, is trying to end the time stop. So the lich has to hide himself from people's knowledge. Otherwise, they will very quickly find him and kill him.
Okay, all right.
He has to hide himself from the
Yeah,
demon, I guess.
yeah, and he's still trying to keep the time stop going. This is the part where everything is explained,
Hmm.
and
It's
then
like,
either players can, you know, take him at his word or assume he's lying, possibly fight and even kill him, and then end up having to fight and hopefully kill the demon.
yeah, I think that makes sense. Like he's hiding from the demon because the demon is trying to, get rid of this time stop. Makes a lot of sense. Why to
Yeah,
stage a whole
like
false
on the
narrative?
king's death, he portals in, and okay, all right,
Maybe not. Like maybe he doesn't need to portal in, but maybe the players are expecting something to happen because they might go through a tomb and discover when they get rid of the memory fog that the keen is a lich still, but they misunderstand that to mean that the keen, human keen, is a lich and they kill him thinking he's a lich, but it's not true because the lich never was, the lich is somewhere else hiding. So they discover their mistake at that point or learn, but it doesn't have to be death. Maybe, they find out by other means. Um, but
hmm
a complete misunderstanding of a past event that was made to hide the lich, which was done so well that players misunderstand it to mean the person they see that is just a puppet or a face of the true king. That's a nice twist. Really good twist. And then if the party was summoned as a wish by the king, oh my god. you were supposed to come here to help us. We are. No, sorry. Um so
They didn't say what we would help you with. Now die.
right. So I guess then going through sequence of events in the past, this entity had showed up and started corrupting and taking over people's minds, right? Leading to um
A
a
war against it.
a war, yep. And in order to prevent it from progressing forward in its attack, needed to time stop the demon. But the demon started to control those around the lich, which led to lich having to establish anonymity and hiding from it, essentially staging this whole historical event that was fabricated, um, and removing himself from history. The keen, the human keen, might also be entirely ignorant of this as well, because I mean he might not be trustable either. So there could be changing keens through all this as the face of the city or not. Um, but if he's the one making the wish, it would have to be it would make sense that maybe the keen is not that bright. He's just there as a face. Oh god. Yeah, I like this. The keen is incompetent because he's not the true keen. He's just a guy that looks keenly enough and has the genes to look like one, but does not have the
In
smarts.
major bonus points, half the problems of this city are caused by him going, "Wait a minute, I'm I'm on paper supposed to be the king. Like, why don't I actually try doing kingly shit?"
Oh my god, he's going off on his own and doing things that he's not supposed to.
The king's an absolute degen, but he serves a purpose. And that purpose is cover for the Lich, who is definitely a good guy. Like, 100%. Like, if he was actually running the kingdom, it would be the most prosperous nation possible.
Oh yeah,
And he's also using almost all of his magic power to keep that time stop spell going. But
yeah,
even he's starting to run low on his abilities to do so. And so he managed to convince the king to find he managed to convince the king to find that ring. And while the king managed to do what he was told somehow magically, and that led to the party.
would also maybe have to establish a way that the king is immune to corruption.
Immune to corruption? No, he's corrupt as fuck. That's
From
why the city's in shambles.
then I guess it. Well, if the king is gonna work with the lich, I guess it would require that the
Mutual
demon not.
respect from days past.
Well, I meant more like the demon not
Oh,
affecting.
part of it is the lich is also trying to keep the king protected.
Oh, like you can only protect one person and have time stop up at the same time. I can only concentrate on two spells. Two spells. He's a lich. He doesn't follow 5e rules.
Even better, it's just like a once per day, no concentration, but
Mhm.
that's literally his only spare magic power is that one spell. And just through this constant overuse every single day, his abilities are waning.
Yeah.
Just slightly, but enough. So the king started missing a day or two here and there.
Oh
And
no.
so and so that's why he slowly started getting worse and worse. And the lich picked one of the days where he applied that spell to go, listen, I need you to do this right now.
Okay.
And that led to the ring and led to the party.
Yeah. So okay. So I see. So then there were basically days where the king just didn't show up, and then the problems that he caused were potentially caused by this demon affecting him, or maybe him just being a complete idiot with what he's doing. Um,
Combination of the two,
both. Yeah, probably both. Right.
most
Um,
likely.
most likely
And
both.
the demon's corruption isn't like the case of like he's being controlled, more just influenced.
Yeah, I guess that's a big precedent. It's like mind control versus temptation.
The corruption versus the corruption just affecting his mind the same way, a drug would.
Sowing doubt into what is happening with the Lich King, which is why he didn't show up on some days.
Just increasing his general paranoia and increasing his greed and his, violent tendencies.
What if he
And
stopped? What if he stopped seeing the Lich altogether? Like, and that's why things are the way they are now.
I think it's better if it's slowly over time because that still leaves him with his trust of the Lich, at least enough to not have him, killed outright at the absolute worst. But
But would he be memory
in
fogged though?
general, he still trusts him. He knows
Yeah.
deep down that the Lich is doing everything he can to save the kingdom. But anyone else, he's got no idea, and he's growing more and more distrusting of them,
Hmm.
and is just trying to, secure his power basically from them, and that's leading to the issues that the people are starting to rebel against.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I also because there's a little bit of a like between the mind fog and also the corruption stuff. What if the immunity to like mind altering effects also includes the memory fog. But if the Keen doesn't come to get the protection, then he doesn't remember the Lich. He doesn't get his daily dose of protection. That would make it really hard to try to like have him to come back to protect again. I mean, I imagine that would be very difficult. Like what the Lich would have to do to try to get the Keen back, and maybe only really needing to do it whenever it is absolutely necessary to talk to him.
Whenever he misses a day, after he misses a day, the Lich sends his familiar to either coax or physically drag him in front of the Lich.
What would his familiar be? We can make it anything. Right? So
We could make it anything. We could make it a giant black panther that could either it'll try being friendly towards him, or it might try to scare him and chase him in the right direction, or just run him down, grab him by the scruff of his neck, and drag him to the Lich.
what if it's something like because like Make a Wish, right? Like something celestial, like a what if it's a an elemental of positive energy?
An air elemental.
An air elemental could also be true. I was thinking more along the lines of it being a star, essentially,
Ooh,
like radiant energy or like positive energy. Positive energy would kind of cue in. It's the opposite of necrotic, so it could kind of support more towards like the Lich being actually lawful good as opposed to evil. It also could be the
minor
way that.
celestial.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
A minor celestial
Yeah.
who, through mutual respect,
Mhm.
forged the familiar contract with him.
It's a minor celestial that can grant wishes. Maybe instead of a ring, it's the familiar.
Well, the whole thing was limited, though.
Limited wishes.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing was limited wishes, and if it's a living being, it can recover its magic and spells and cast more and more.
It might only have a limited number of wishes, and every time that it grants a wish, it gets closer to dying. And once it casts three, gone forever. So it has to sacrifice itself in order to give the third wish. And that would also make it there's a filter because if the wish is something that maybe the celestial doesn't agree with, they don't have to cast it. As opposed to a
All
genie,
right.
you know?
So the first one was the mind fog to protect
Mm-hmm.
the Lich's identity. The second one was to find the heroes to save the kingdom and finally end the threat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one can be given to the players as, for example, in the main fight, the Lich sacrificed himself to really take it down or bring it close enough to death that the party could finish it off. And now the Celestial, released from that familiar pact, wants to be with its former master in the afterlife, and so tells them they can make the third wish.
Doesn't trust the king to do it. You came here to help save our city, and I think that now that my master has gone, I will be joining him and will leave the fate of this world in your hands. Now that we are no longer burdened to protect it. So what do you wish for? And I guess there could be no limit on what. Well, I imagine might be some limit of what it would be okay with and not okay with. But
As long as it's not, so long as it's not directly evil,
right, which in this
like
case, like not, I don't. I think like everything is so gray on both sides that I think whatever they wish would probably be okay because there's like really no true right or wrong answer with either going with the rebellion or the kingdom side of solving the problem.
Yeah, because either way, you're gonna get to the Lich and use the forces that you brought with you to, take down the true enemy.
I like this. Okay, let's get some of this stuff written down. Okay, so the central conflict or idea. It sounds like we're pretty set on there being a um
Demon stuck
strong.
in a stop.
We want it to be a demon.
Yeah, strong enemy.
If it's psionic, if it's communicating psionically, it could be eldritch. It could be an aberration. It could be something that is so raw in power that having it be time stopped is the best solution. What would
Actually,
be
it could even be an evil minor god.
it would have to be something that can be solved with the increasing technology, I believe, right? Because that's the whole point of trying to have all this done. What if it was like an extraplanar creature that wasn't meant to be here and they're just trying to send it back home? So it doesn't necessarily have a goal. It's in the wrong place and it's just, not supposed to be here, but it can't get home without
Yeah, think
advancing
about the level
magic.
of technology we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We're talking about going from swords to primitive firearms. We're not talking about going from swords to, what we would nowadays call futuristic, where we're opening up rifts in reality,
I think
you know,
it's
on a whim.
the technology is what is it? The
I'd say the technology is slowing
artificers
us
starting to
down.
rise, so, and there being an arms race using black powder. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like the combination of magic with weaponry.
Okay, so more magitech than
Yeah,
tech.
yeah, because there being an arms race and it being related to artificers rising makes a lot of sense. So what? Maybe they are trying to get to magic tech to try to build a technological magical gate that goes to another realm that can't be accessed with like the normal gates, but like goes to like another universe or even like outside of the crystal sphere entirely, which would
Hmm.
require having access to knowledge and technology that it just it's going to take a long time to get to.
And the players find the last piece of it that allows everything to come together.
Or what if it's just that the technology is there, but people are using it as weapons as opposed to a solution to get rid of this problem because they just don't know about the problem. And they're too busy fighting each other from the demon doing its thing to free itself.
But could be. The technology finally reached it, but no one realized its other use. As is normally the case with weapons development.
Oh yeah. So I guess then if this is a matter of like creating a cross universal gate or way to banish something to back to where it came from, it also kind of brings into question how it got here. Whether it was always here or they're just trying to find somewhere else to put it.
Someone else already passed the buck along to this universe.
It's like it's your problem now.
And then we get to the same conclusion. We're like, Zap, it's your problem now. Good luck.
What if it's a test? Like there might be some being like very high up on the tier of like godhood that's using something akin to like a great filter where like they put this creature in every universe to test if it is a universe that should continue to exist or not.
Based on how they respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
or if they survive it.
Yeah, or it could be like a species of people that are that basically test worlds to see if they are ready or good enough to join the greater um, system of
Mhm.
the universe. It was a test all along.
A test, millions are dead. Yes, but not all of you.
but not all of you. You succeeded.
Congratulations, you passed. You may now join our council as junior members. You should be honored.
It could be a thing of like, the world is dangerous, right? So this
Mhm.
could be something that was, I mean, like maybe it was put here in order to naturally filter out the evil worlds from the good ones. And
Mhm.
it's something that takes a really long time. And so when this final war had occurred, they time stopped it in order to extend the amount of time it takes to solve it. So it could be that things could be a little more peaceful after the war, after it's been time stopped. But the problems never truly went away. It's still dangerous. So this
Mhm.
could be the central source of what is causing all of this external danger outside of the city. Have you watched Ruby before?
Yes, I have.
It's like the what's her name? Like Salem, essentially.
Yep.
The Salem situation. Can't be killed. Just keeps making evil stuff. How are you gonna deal with this problem?
Windows basically time stop it until a later date when hopefully we can get rid of it.
Would that make sense for like a test? Or it could just be like, a demon. It doesn't have to be a universal test. That would make it too complicated, I think.
It could be a demon, but it's the original demon, Lilith herself.
Not Lilith. uh, yeah, I like that. It's someone named Lilith, a demon named Lilith.
You know, very, almost almost looking like a normal human, but the all black eyes, the tail, black veins, but otherwise normal human looking, but insane amounts of power.
Sorry, an idea just came to my mind. It's like, what if it didn't look like how it like what with how evil it is? What if instead it's just a really cute, fluffy white rabbit? And it made me think of like the magical girls. How like there's that little like white creature that's giving like the girls magic powers, and it's actually like really evil. It's an alien trying to get energy by turning people into witches. Um, but yeah, like having it be something like unexpected.
Or it could just look like a normal white rabbit, but then someone gets close to it and it just like unhinges its head, revealing a massive mouth, just like the killer rabbit of Carabanog from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's funny. I like that. Um, I suppose if we want this to be a force that is almost otherworldly, it would need to have a shape or a form that is atypical. So maybe humanoid is not a good way to go.
Tentacles.
Tentacles, eldritch, yeah.
Hmm.
What if it?
Too many eyes, too many teeth that are way too sharp. Wait, are we intending for it to look evil or look good?
Uh,
Just add to the
neither. I guess like, what if it's just like a ball of light? It has no like physical form. It's something.
Plain
It's something that
white
can't be held
orb.
or touched.
A plain white orb that quite obviously glows with its own inner light, but is otherwise utterly featureless.
Plain white orb, like a white. It's a white sphere. It's the
Yeah,
beacon from Skyrim. A new hand has touched the beacon.
fuck it, just make it Merida's beacon.
Dang it, Merida.
I still want to get an actual crystal the same size and shape as that beacon.
What would it have to be made out of? Like
White quartz.
white quartz. That'd be a huge white quartz. I mean, it's a big beacon too. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you can
Hmm?
make quartz.
Oh, you can.
Oh yeah, lab created gems are definitely a thing, and they're cheap. Oh, let's
I
see.
I got
Get
another twist.
four rubies,
What if
an
the
inch across for for like $20.
oh wow, that's cheap. I got another idea. What if the Lich and this entity are married? That's his wife.
Ex-wife.
Or they could both be Liches. Kind of like, two like yin and yang, like two ends of the same, two opposites of the same balance, right?
Evil looking good lich, and the good looking evil lich.
Like it's literally like a really beautiful undead. And the good
Absolutely
Lich
gorgeous.
looks absolutely horrendously evil and untrustable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Do we need the
And then
Liches
you
to
also
be
give them a good ending, bad ending
do we need the Liches
side with.
to be humanoid? They just have to be undead, right?
Uh,
They could have any form, I
they can
guess.
have any form they want, but I don't know. I think the default is humanoid.
I'm just trying to think of like alternative ways of like presenting the story. So one of the things in the burger builder is like trying to make present the ideas in a unique way. So like all of these very common ways that that people know these various creatures and ideas to be, it's helpful to kind of like fix or change the way that it looks. So that way it is a more unique story and the way that it's being delivered. Um, cliches or like cliche like tropes tend to, especially when there's so many, to tend to kind of like hold back a story. And so in order for it to like get to the higher levels of being a great quality story, it all has to almost like stand on its own. So I guess there's nothing wrong with it being a humanoid though. Like, but I guess it could also be something else
You-
entirely. Like it could be, I guess if we're going with like the wishes idea, it could literally be a star or something that has to do with
Okay, and then
hmm,
so um for the good lich, it could be like a Draco lich, a
there you go.
dragon,
A dragon. There you go. See, now we're thinking. Yeah,
yep,
I like
dragon
dragons.
lich.
Yes.
So you look at a undead dragon wielding vast power. What's your initial thought?
Oh no.
Exactly. You look at it and go, "Oh, we're dead. We are so fucking dead, and we're not even going to be able to rest in our death.
I
It will raise us back up and kill us again."
I got a plot twist. What if both liches are attached to the same body?
Split personality.
Well, no, more like there's two heads attached to the same body.
Ooh,
And the body is actually
I
like far under like it's in the center part of the world. Like like in Dark Souls, those big tentacle head creatures, right? Like it could be that their body is like joined together somewhere else in the world, but they are here.
Or like Cat Dog. I don't know if you ever watched that show as a kid.
Yes, I guess it
Be a
would.
cat dog situation, head on either end, and the good head is outside of the center of the time dilation.
What if they are delivering a test for this world? Like they could be the ones to be like, we're here to um judge if you are fit to continue existing in this world. One of us is incredibly evil, and the other one is incredibly good. Uh, that's that's my partner. She is going to now destroy your world, and I'm or you have a time limit until she will do it. Hmm. No, doesn't seem as compelling. Having a character that sacrifices their mortality to be lich sounds a lot better than one where it's like it's coming from force the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds much more compelling. Yeah, let's scrap. Okay, forget my
Scrap the test
yeah,
idea.
forget the twist idea. Uh,
It's just a case of it's a really evil thing that's trying to do evil things. It's an evil entity trying to do evil things for the sake of evil because I'm evil.
it's a chaotic.
And,
It's a chaotic evil god of
it's, it's,
destruction.
it's, it's literally just a level 20 PC that you rip off of somewhere online with a chaotic evil. It's just like the murder hobo, the embodiment.
Yeah, making really flat characters like that though tend to people tend to like not relate with them. So we might have to give it a reason why it's doing what it's doing to make it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not literally evil for the sake of evil, but like along those general lines, like I'm trying to take over the world.
or maybe
Why? Because I think I
yeah.
could do it better.
It might be trying to do
They
things
have a
in a way
twist.
that maybe is not good or evil, but just gray. So that way the players might decide to side with the demon or with the entity instead. But then it's like, well, what does it really come down to? Like, what does it? It's trying to. What if the creature of great evil was trying to destroy all of humanity because it believes that no, I don't like that. What if it was trying to gosh, I don't know. Like there's not very many things that kind of fall under the
I feel like
spectrum of evil and
we should
also
just make
relatable.
that just like undoubtedly big bad evil guy.
An extreme conclusion for something that someone would probably decide to do if they were pushed to the point where they have to make an impossible decision. But having it be on a scale where it could really do a lot of destruction. Hmm. I mean, war to either try to solve a problem or bring peace. This is hard. Uh, hmm. How about we take a 5 minute break to kind of like refresh our brain noodles, and then whenever we come back, we can figure out what it is that these two big characters really are trying to prove. So yeah, let's say 10 minutes. That sound good?
Yeah, we can do 10.
Okay. All right, chat. Um, we will be back in 10 minutes. Thank you guys for, if for being a part of this. If those of you that are here listening in to our to our train of thought, trying to figure out what the story is, we will be back in 10 minutes. We'll see you back after a short break. We are back. Hello, everybody. Um,
Hello.
hello. Now, if this is your first time coming to my name is Paladin Stova, and we are currently making a story for our charity stream that we're doing next week. So this is called Rare Builder. So it is a system that creates a entire homebrew setting and story to help game masters make really great games and shortening the process. Oh, what is it, doggy? Vice wants to say hi. Hello. Which will shorten the time to oh, she's insistent. She wants the petsies. Which will shorten the time to make a good setting and also decrease rates of burnout and people quitting because making something from scratch is very hard. So I want to make something that will help people um, in making something that's really solid and also provides a really great story. So we've been spending the last 2 hours throwing ideas out. And I feel like between me and Dova, we are getting to a point where we're like we almost have it all together on like how to make this adventure the last 6 sessions over the course of 2 days. And so there is some ideas that came to me while on the break. And I think there's a bit of a complication with there being these two forces that are opposing each other and like why they are opposing each other and what for, right? But also trying to paint them in a way that neither side is clearly good or evil, but more of a gray area, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So what I thought was that there was a problem that happened in the past that was a global issue and there was a threat to all life in the world. And so it could have been a magical calamity that was threatening everything. And it could be that they were both human at the time, and one person decided that he believed in more strict controlled measures to prevent further chaos and destruction. And so he saw undeath as an ultimate form of preservation. So that way, life can be life and people's ideas can be preserved. So he used necromancy to turn himself into a lich, and in this way can serve the greater good and ensure strict law and order. But it's a very cold and methodical way of approaching things, being very emotionless and very objective on solving a problem, um, and a desire to prevent needless loss of life. It's kind of like, I guess, like the Lich King would definitely be the person to be like, okay, it's not a matter of 1,000 versus 1,001 deaths. It's a matter of like how much are you worth. Whereas the other person is someone that comes from a realm of complete freedom. And in order to kind of have that complete freedom, having to oppose the control of the situation and just letting things run as they do and letting the natural course of nature go as it is. So it's kind of like the whole life versus rebirth. Like, things have to die in order for new cycles to begin. It's kind of like when a forest catches on fire and then a new forest emerges from the seeds that are planted. It's one side is like, okay, we can preserve our way of life, and the other one is like, well, like maybe it's just our time to go. And instead of trying to fight nature, we try to do our best to survive through it, but let it occur. Otherwise, the world can't be reborn and will prevent um society and life from getting better. And so I guess then in time stopping, the leader that was like, just let it roam free, essentially trapped, like stopped the whole cycle of having the world be remade. And that's why the world is really dangerous because can't it wasn't allowed to be purged of the things that are making it dangerous. And they can't disappear without a purge, but also if we do get a purge, then we also won't exist either. We'll go with it. I don't know. What do you think? That was a lot of talking. What do you think, Joba?
Purge or not to purge?
Yeah.
That is the question.
Do we want to live and make the world? Do we want to live and make the world a worse place by not letting it be new, or do we want to allow there to be better life and then not exist?
Yeah, that is a very, you know, interesting question to ask the players. Um, it could definitely lead to some moral dilemmas, very gray.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to save yourself at the extent of a possible future, or sacrifice yourself on the hope that maybe they'll do it, they'll have a better run of it?
And
But
yeah, and the way that I see it, like the Lich
you and your
King,
species will have no say in that if
yeah,
you choose to purge.
that's true because you'll go with it. And the way that I see, like the Lich King is very methodical, so he could think like, okay, well maybe we can solve our problems with science or magic, and we just gotta understand the world around us in order to still let
Mm,
the world have its cleanse, but then still have us in the picture,
yeah,
right? And it's like it might be a possible future that maybe isn't not really possible, but like a very hopeful way of trying to exist. Whereas the other person is like, you know, rather than trying to defy the natural order of things, being letting ourselves stand to the side so that other people can emerge and make a better world. And it's like almost like a defeatist way of like looking at things. It's like, you know what, like we as a species like aren't that great. And maybe it is our time that we just need to go because we are I mean we fight with each other a lot and we're getting in our ways a lot and trying to resist a natural universal event is, I guess, in this person's eyes, like something that you just don't mess with the primal forces, right? Like this whole cycle of life and rebirth of things, wild and chaotic, and almost like traditional in a sense. It's like, our time has come. It's time to go. No, I refuse
mm,
to fall into that. I want to live. I want to live. Mm.
it's a good song.
What is that?
I want to live.
I want to live.
Yes, it's from Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, it's so how do you think we're gonna go with this?
I think maybe not entirely wiping out humanity, but just wiping out civilization. Having basically like the Druids approach is like we just don't need cities.
Hmm.
So clearly, like that's not good because you're gonna have to destroy something.
So the entity in the time swap wants to wipe out civilization, so that humanity lives more in tune with nature.
Yes.
All right, so that's their goal, and then obviously the Lich and the King want to keep civilization going on the belief that, this is the way forward, this is the way to a better future,
at the cost of freedom.
but at the cost of some, personal freedom.
People can continue to live, but they will have to follow a very strict way of living.
That actually seems really good. I like that.
You do?
Ooh,
Okay, we're back. Sorry, my OBS just had a little bit of a glitch. So the
awkward.
cataclysmic event. What if it was like there was a disruption of the natural balance of magic, essentially? So it could have been like fracturing, potentially, or maybe like a plague that threatened to turn people, well, to kill people, essentially. No.
I think it might be best with just at this level, a little bit simpler
Yeah.
of a approach.
Yeah.
It's just a case of two extremely strong beings with a differing of opinion and the capability to bring their opinion into reality, and their conflicts with each other finally coming to a head.
What if they're not extremely strong, but they're just normal people that, like a sorcerer versus a wizard, essentially, a sorcerer versus a druid, level 20. Like they're just
Yeah,
normal people, but
extreme,
they were
extremely strong,
leaders.
but
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Um, but we also want to try to keep this in kind of like the theme of Make a Wish, right? So, hmm. I am running out of creative juices for like what it could be if it's going to be like wish related,
I mean,
potentially.
we've added a good bit into it
Mm-hmm.
that could be, that's wish related, including literal wish. Um,
What if like it is related to the wish, like that entity, like there's a star or like a celestial of wishes, and it's able to grant 3 perfect wishes. It's potent enough to like reshape reality. And each person sought to use it to solve the growing instability of the world, but they had wildly different ideas on how to use it. But it would also mean that,
ooh,
huh?
and they both and that so for that celestial, their connection to the material plane is in the form of some sort of artifact
Mm-hmm.
that allows them to, you know, manifest themselves basically nearby. Um, and in order to activate it, it needs to be a ritual. And the fight was because they both wanted control of it, but obviously neither of them could get the time from each other to perform the ritual in their battle.
Yeah. What if they did get a wish? What if their wish did kind of come true to some extent? Like the Lich maybe deciding to preserve life and accidentally created the time dilation and turned himself undead.
Hmm. Yeah, we can make this artifact like I don't know, something big enough that like you can't just grab it with one hand and try and perform the ritual while while fighting. But obviously small enough that it's man portable. Something I don't know, I mean, a foot across, a multifaceted crystal that's white.
Merida, what are you doing here? Not again, Merida. I'm just kidding.
Bonus points, you can add that reference to it when, like, if you end up, defeating both of them, you pick it up and it shouts in your mind, "A new hand touches the beacon."
I feel like that would be so funny.
I can
Okay.
see it. I can see it now. You get a letter a couple months later from Bethesda, cease and desist. It'd
Hmm,
be hilarious though. What do you think? Worth it?
I think it would be a
Should we
nice.
just wholesale
I think
rip
it'd be a nice
Meredith
Easter
beacon?
egg. Just rip Meredith's
I think it
beacon.
would too.
I think that'd be cool. That'd be funny. Throw it in as an Easter egg. People would recognize it. It's like, yeah,
The reference.
right, yeah.
Oh, the party wakes up in a cart going through the forest. Hey, you're finally awake.
Hmm. I am running out of fuel for like how to let's I guess let's get some things written down. Let's do that
Yeah.
with what we know,
Let-
and then before things kind of get too ahead. So the central conflict idea here is that there in the past there was a war or disagreement between two global leaders to solve a problem with but with both leaders having extreme solutions that get that are not compatible, yeah, with each other. Okay. um Conflict arose between both leaders, and a war a war occurred. One leader who made himself one leader made himself to a witch and had stopped the opposing leader. The time stop. Time dilation was created, and memory fog to extend to. Well, I guess let me go. Let me. Opposing leader with time stop. The opposing leader could still telepathically communicate and attempt or manipulate by being frozen time to find the Lich King and undo the time stop. All right. So I guess then the central conflict or idea here is that is well created a city that is rigid and suppresses people's freedom to survive in a very just world. Magic is strongly searched and quickly developing. However, the new technology sparks a an internal rebellion in the society, which could entirely undo the Lich's plans of solving a global threat. That more or less kind of summarize it all.
I think so.
Okay. I got an idea. So what if he's not a lich, but what if like the problem that happened is that century like there was a magical effect that basically caused, or maybe someone wished for there to be eternal life for everybody, and it went horribly wrong, granting people immortality, but it allowed people to never die, but they still aged, suffer, and decay. So the Lich King is not a lich; he's just a person that is a skeleton. Or he could be a lich. Maybe like he didn't decay because he turned into a lich to prevent his body from withering to dust and still being alive in the dust. It also could lead to a problem of like having overpopulation and having resources collapsing from having too many people in the world.
Hmm. I could see that.
Yeah, the time dilation to quickly kill people would then make more sense. Of like we need less people in the world, and we need to have some people live and some people die, so that way we don't overpopulate. And the other leader could have maybe thought that the wish itself needs to be undone instead, and so maybe sought to no, no, brain is running out out of thoughts. It's getting very complicated. I think it's one of those things where it's like probably have to put a pause on it and then come back to it after a day, because sometimes things can be very things can be very complex, especially when trying to world build something like this.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're basically trying to rewrite an entire world's history.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how long did it take Tolkien to do that with Middle Earth?
We also could just not make it so complicated.
I mean, yes, there's always that option.
But then would it really be a great memorable story if we well we could still make it a great
Quite
memorable story,
possibly,
really.
yeah.
Yeah.
That comes down to how good of a storyteller you are.
Hmm.
I mean, Robin Hood's a great memorable story, but it's not excessively complex.
Hmm. What if what if not what if what had happened is that not people were plagued and turning into undead, No, nope, nope, no. I think it'll have to be another day. My brain started and then it
Yeah.
went. Not a good sign. All right. Well, I will move on from the thing that happened in the past. I think that's something for myself. I could come back to it, but I don't know. Do you have any ideas for what to do for the past, or should we just move on and try to do a different part and come back to it?
Um, Honestly, I think, you know, just reading what you've typed for the central conflict,
Mm-hmm.
I think that sums it up rather neatly, and I think the rest is just getting lost in the weeds.
I think
For
yeah, yeah, possibly.
you know,
Well,
it's supposed to be like a overview of the central conflict, not a blow by blow.
it's kind of well, it is supposed to be a complete adventure for all 6 sessions. So, well, I guess let's write down what that would look like. So I guess they're going to have to do the memory fog, right?
Yep.
Do memory fog, and then side with them or rebellion. I would imagine this probably would take one day between undoing the memory fog, like understanding the setting,
Yeah.
um, and then the next day, after siding with one versus the other, it's a matter of like following that faction due to the conclusion, I believe,
Following it through until you've either wiped out the rebellion or not, basically.
of what really happened. Okay, here we go. So basically, that's what the mini marathon will kind of look like then. One, day two. Okay,
All right.
so let me see the. Oh, I'm very wrong. So our mini marathon isn't until the 26th, the 27th, the 13th. We have more time.
Oh, thank God, I'll actually be able to be there for it.
Oh, yay! Awesome.
I was getting ready to tell you if it's this upcoming weekend, I'm not going to be able to be here.
Well, I'm glad that it's on a day that you can be there. Uh, God, I can only imagine what the people on the West marches that are going to join will do. Oh,
Oh, it's going to be chaotic.
oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so in I guess then to kind of I'm gonna move past this part to kind of try and get at least this bottom portion done. So to get ready for the mini marathon, I know having a target audience, pitch, playstyle, um, having this part like tailoring the experience will be is very important in order to give a really good experience to all the people that are going to be playing in it. So now, target audience of who this would be for. I mean, of course, it's the people that play D&D online. Let's see, ages 18 plus. This is going to be for hope and redemption, and also achievement and growth. And with the specific themes we got going, I think this would probably appeal to
Honestly, a lot of people.
yeah. I don't think that I think it's so expansive that it it probably will
There's a
cover.
little bit of something for almost everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we'll actually be okay with like just having it be just like this, like just people that play D&D online and being 18 plus, and that's it. like we've done
Maybe
all other
say
marathons.
like expansive settings.
Expensive settings that that deal with deep,
Complex.
complex social issues. So if we had to do a pitch, it's basically writing down 3 to 7 um, concepts or ideas of what our game is about. And so I suppose going through the major branches here, it's a brain is not braining. uh,
I know the feeling all too well, Pally.
it is getting close to the end of the 3 hour mark, and all my braining is starting to go away for the day. Oh no. So I guess what this game is about is that it is set up in a world where it's very dangerous, and there has to be rigid order to maintain survival. So set in a world that is very lethal and requires a systematic approach to survive survive by keeping people in freaking rules. I guess the second thing would be that the their players have to make big decisions. We'll have to make decisions that will change the entire outcome of society. The magic tech is also like a significant part of this too, right? So, um,
Mhm.
magic tech, magic tech is new, is newly no, is newly formed, and its creation sparks a widespread awakening, a widespread awakening, no, a widespread rebellion. I say rebellion, rebellion against society itself, which threatens to destroy, well, which threatens the safety of everyone. Ha, for wanting freedom. There we go. Hmm. I suppose the fact that there's gray choices, so like there's not,
Yeah, I was about to say morally gray factions and choices.
the world is filled with morally gray factions and choices which question morality and ethics. Those are pretty good summaries of everything. Okay. Let's see. Playstyle. Well, I think this is going to be like, well, there's a lot of exploring, socializing, but I suppose having a like 50%, maybe like 40% exploration, 30% combat, 30% roleplay.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
How are we going to make it personal to the experience? I think
I'll be honest, that's a little beyond me, so that's all you.
so basically it's how do we make this game meaningful and special to the players? The problem that kind of arises in this case is that with it being a mini marathon, the player might play 1 out of 6 sessions, or maybe 2 if they play on both days. And so it could be hard to tailor the experience for each person. But if we had to make it meaningful to each person, giving each person, well, I guess if we're gonna like tie this in with like the Make a Wish stuff, maybe each person gets to like contribute. I was gonna say each person can contribute something towards like the final outcome, or what to do. But then if it comes down to like a vote, then it wouldn't be very personal if they lose the vote. Well, things that people generally like care about in a TTRPG setting, I suppose, is of course like having a character that they love, that that they see grow. Um, Making a mechanic or a situation or like a story that specifically fits one person's interests. One thing. We could also allow each person to add something to the world. What do you think? Like each person maybe can make a wish or something, like can add a wish to the world. Like they can add an element
Yeah,
to change it.
I could see that.
Like something that I've done before, like how to make it personal, is whenever we had our fight at Castle Kalelan with the Nightmare Dragons, I built that entire situation specifically for Mr. Meat and his character, and had put so much thought into that one moment for him. So trying to do that for every person in a matter of 2 days, maybe it's not doable. So maybe trying to do something in game isn't the answer, but something that's more out of game and like in real life might be better.
Or even maybe just out of this game. For players that are, coming from the West Marches, maybe, a little item that they can take back to their characters.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even need to be, necessarily especially powerful, but something useful or just even just unique.
What if we specifically, um, no, I was gonna say, what if like we made it personal by adding people that are very passionate about like Make a Wish and what they stand for. And so it's personal because they have some involvement with it,
Mhm.
and they care about the charity part of it a lot. Well, like whenever we did the last marathon, there were some people that really associated very strongly with um, the ASPCA, which was it's to help prevent cruelty to animals. And I remember some of the players telling stories about their connections with ASPCA and how they were very invested in it. So it could be that we are going to make it personal just by doing the charity stream, but then also maybe looking for people that are very strongly um, they strongly associate themselves with them and strongly believe in their vision and goal. That could be the personal part.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And then this will kind of like really tailor like what the interview, how we invite them, session 0 and session 1. So for the interview, I guess it's like people that we haven't met before, right?
Hmm.
I guess like important things to note would be like, what does the player think about Make a Wish? Think about Make a Wish. Um, how does and also the setting too? How does the person feel about playing in a world that is bleak? Because that can also could, but I suppose that would be in the LFG as well. But hmm, also the fact that it's a mini marathon, okay with sharing character, with sharing the adventure. The invitation, if we were to make a personal invitation to someone to join this, it's like we know how like I made the invitation of like join the Indigo Isles West Marches, and I like crafted like a little
Hmm.
letter, something like that. It could be like a hey, like you're invited to play in the stream, and it could be like a star invitation, or like an invitation like in the shape of a star about asking to join the game.
Hmm. I like that. That's actually very good.
And then session 0, I like to do very dynamic session zeros that kind of like fall in line with what to expect in the world.
Hmm.
So I think, of course, also going over all the important things like lines and veils. Um, but I think a session 0 in this case, to make it fit with everything else, is what if session 0 is filled with stories about making a difference. For example, in my dynamic session 0 for Indigo Isles, they're going through like an airport, like processing, so they're putting their baggage away. But in this case, the session 0, it's like a more like the players are going through a scenario or a situation, learning everything, but then also like having to do little tasks that end up shaping something like maybe there's a tree that will grow, and in order to make the tree grow you got to like water it and do all these things, right? but
Hmm.
but to do that you got to like do these very things in session 0 to grow the tree and have it prosper. Mm, what would resonate really strongly for session zero while also keeping the theme of informing people? And also make it fun and memorable, connect people together. I think this is also something I would have to do a lot of thinking of. And then session one is like basically start of marathon, right?
Yeah.
Start of marathon. Um, and then what do we need to do for the first, I guess, 6 sessions? I think that this is something that I'm going to come back to between now and the next stream. Or actually, I might end up just making a second stream this week because I don't want to. I know that we didn't finish all of this, and some of this is probably going to require more extensive thought. So
Mhm.
I want to revisit this and see if I can have some other people contribute their ideas into this as well. Um, because I know that I'm very passionate about helping the world whatever way that I can. And I want this to be, I want this, of course, Burger Bill to live up to its name and what its function and purpose is for. Um, and I think it's going to require a little bit more time, but also I think some other perspectives as well to get a more refined and alternative view of like what the story is. Not to say that our ideas are bad, just that I think it'd be good to have like one or two more opinions on like, like what I think
Mhm.
we could do instead. Because I know we had more people in the last two streams to kind of like bounce ideas up, but I will find a time to this week to kind of do another stream to get this part established and then start the process of looking for players and getting our what if we called the players wish bringers?
Ooh, that's the name of the mercenary group, the
The
Wishbringers.
wish bringers. Um, like, hey, it's an invitation for you to be a wish bringer in our upcoming stream, which is just replacing the word player with wish bringer.
I like it.
I like it too. Um, oh God, I'm really excited. It's been a year since we did the last marathon, and I'm really looking forward to having a marathon again. It's been a whole year. Can you believe that? It's been a whole year since the last time we did a marathon. We did Baldur's Gate pre last year, and
Mhm.
the reason we didn't do one in the summer, we had done one every 6 months, so we did three in we did two last year, and then the world record one in 2022. We didn't do one this summer because I wanted to take time to refine skills and focus on what it is that I need to do to move forward in business, essentially, or like with what I'm doing with life. I was spread across too many ideas and I needed to really narrow things down and also learn a lot. Um, and also, like, at the time, earlier in the year, the community wasn't coming together as I had hoped that it would. I know that all of this isn't new news, but I think that this year has been a really great learning experience going through these various different situations with how the community has gone through its low and trials and tribulations and its risings and its fallings. I think that the way that things are going now, it's different, but it's the most lively and the most positive culture that I've seen since starting everything 3 years ago. And what we're kind of seeing now, like, with it being quiet and people coming to join the community now that the perspective has kind of changed a tiny bit. um I can see the signs of growth, and I see people coming in and staying that are going to be the new people that are going to define the culture of what Paladins Archives is. And I'm so excited to see community starting to revive again. And this mini marathon, I feel that, well, every time that we've done a marathon in general, it's always brought a lot of people in. So really looking forward to all the people that are gonna be joining, that we're gonna meet to make a difference. And it just makes me happy. I feel really good about this project.
Yeah, I like it.
I think that this is probably a good place to stop before I start getting too emotional and then start crying because I'm like, oh, it's so good. I have really I will get so empathic that I will start crying. I'm like, oh, it's just we're helping people. I will actually cry. So this is a good place to stop, and I will find. Let's see, when can I stream again? Well, I don't have a game on Friday, so I'll poke my head around and see who from the streaming group can join us for Friday. Either that or Saturday. Probably Friday is better because then doing a stream Saturday and Sunday might be too much. But I'll poke my head around in the community and see who would like to help do this last little section together, and then be well on our way to having a really great game for our marathon. Now, thank you guys, those of you that are watching, for listening in. I know this must be not that entertaining from the Twitch perspective, I imagine. But for those of you that have been a part of this, that are here and are listening, thank you so much. I haven't advertised this stream at all, intentionally. This is the first streamed version of Burger Builder, and I wanted to put a lot of focus on just going through it properly with others and then remaking it to be a better template to use next time. And so over time, this stream with Burger Builder will be more engaging, as and also be better streamlined for how to fill these things in less time. So thank you guys for being patient and listening in. And with that, we will end the stream. And I just want to say thank you for being here. That's all. Looking forward to this game.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be fun and also chaotic.
Oh, for sure.
uh,
You cannot get away from the chaos with our players, and it's wonderful.
it's wonderful. It's great. I mean, I love it. I mean, the unpredictability from the players is, I like it. It keeps me on my toes. The Thursday
Yeah.
group.
So speaking of that final battle,
Mhm.
didn't you say that you had like a dozen different ways mapped out that you thought we would do, and we did none of them?
I had 12. I had 12 possible ideas that you guys didn't do any of them. I didn't think that Squishy would get involved and try and succeed in creating like dominating a adult dragon with words.
That was absolutely hilarious. She literally said, "You're my girlfriend now."
Yeah,
Dragon's like,
exactly.
"But I'm a boy." It's like, it does not matter.
It's like you are my boyfriend now. Okay. Like we should just straight up dominate creatured it.
Yeah, that was
Well,
hilarious.
thank you guys so much for being here. This is going to be the end of the stream. There's not many of us here that are watching, so I'm not going to do a raid. I'm just going to end it here. Um, we'll be back again on Friday to do the rest of this, and then Sunday to actually make the pieces like maps or whatever needs to be made, like the invitations, and then we'll have the game following weekend. So wherever you are, whenever you are, have a great rest of your day, and hope that you guys do run into some good fortune this weekend, that things go well. So good night, guys. We'll see you next time.
Good night.